Good evening, everyone. This is Adam Duncan.
This is Chris Adams of the RVA Returners, and we are here to actually do some commentary for one of these featured matches for the Influencers Cup, Adam. Rolling for first, John, rolling a
Take it right
six.
from the top. This is kind of nice. Oh, that six going to beat that F.
Yes, it is. F indeed.
F to draw first. Press
Absolutely.
F to go second.
That's right. And of course, Chris Mattiske, coming off of a Worlds qualifying season, one of the
second one in a row, right? Wasn't he there last year?
I believe so. Yes,
Yeah.
One of the definitely one of the most sharp minds of the game, like a true student of the game.
Oh, 100%. He's one of those crazy minds when you look at his lists and you're like, what was this guy thinking? And then you watch it happen and you watch it work and you're like, oh, he was thinking he's in a different league than I am when it comes to brewing. And it's always fun to see what he's going to do each time the set comes out.
Yeah, he's definitely playing this game in the year 3020. And, John, definitely a teammate of ours, sharp player, always qualifies for nationals, always one to try something off the beaten path. Very much a counter meta kind of guy. It's just the way his mind works when it comes to cards.
Sure. Qualifying for Nats with Ultros is not something anyone else can say they did. Looks like John took the mulligan and is playing pitching the Cloud to play Samurai for his first turn, which is good. Turn one back up, doing what he wants to do, I guess. Samurai's not hitting a target, but he's a body.
Yep, and you hate to see one of those cards, one of your backups, especially in a deck like Fire Ice where you're not really getting the value out of it, but also too, you don't mind building the backups. You don't mind just because once Fire Ice gets to 4 backups, there's really not much it can't do.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. And we've seen their lists too. John's got 4 cards that he wants to cast out of his hand for 7 CP. So, it's not a bad idea to get those backups down on the table as soon as possible.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
This is an interesting angle we have here as these two players we can't hear what they're saying, but we can watch the negotiation of information over webcam matches, having all the information visible with the card hands and all that. So,
No, absolutely. So, let's see. Mattiske's probably thinking about his opening play here.
Oh, he's thinking about his first 5 or 6 turns. He's got
it
all dialed in.
The tank. Because go ahead.
A great tournament to as you said, kind of take those chances and try some different things and get off the beaten path. That's a turn 1 Aerith for free, more or less, where he's pitching and Sephiroth, getting them both back, playing a Time Mage backup and passing. That's the backup. That's a Time Mage that flickers forward on the field.
Yep. So it's, essentially, we saw that card really come to prevalence in, I believe it was Opus 6 or Opus 7 when the Vice King's deck became big.
Wow. That was like so many cards that I've attempted to evaluate on paper before opening the packs that contain them. I just remember looking at Layla and going, was that going to make that Viking good enough? And boy, was that not a question that needed to be asked. It certainly made that Viking very good.
Well, and the thing is that Viking was already almost good enough. It just needed something to put it over the top because it was already a good card. Layla made it a great card.
Yeah, definitely. This game has definitely had some very different seasons to the meta, and
absolutely,
Vice King's a deck that really doesn't see a lot of tables competitively anymore.
No, because it gets outclassed by decks like that Mattiske's playing. He's taking that same concept of blinking, using abusing ETBs, and just really making it more efficient. All right, so we're going to play the Setzer, get back the lock.
Lock in the hand, turn 2 is pretty good.
Well, if he can follow up with maybe like a banana sit here, I think that puts him. That's a really great turn 2. I mean, this isn't bad, right? Because he's going to play Cyan. He's going to be able to get another Samurai, and now Cyan's cleaving for 3K when he attacks.
Well, let's say something here too about the benefit of getting your backups into your hand in the early turns. If Cyan did nothing else, he took away a backup draw later in the game when you don't want to draw backups. So it's seeing your backups early is what you always want to do, unless you just don't want to play backups, and then they shouldn't be in your list. So it's just a good play, and definitely, he's attacking with a little ping attached, and looking at a couple of the forwards, a couple of the strategic forwards in Mattiske's lists. It'd be kind of interesting to see that ping start to come into relevance here. I mean, he was already going to outclass the Aerith in combat to begin with.
Yep, and this could be one of those tricky things. Well, like, I mean, do you even maybe want? Because do you want to even? I mean, this is one of those weird situations where maybe you want to block the Aerith to stop the damage, but then you also, do you want him to play another one?
Well, we got the starter cloud down, turn 2, definitely, and looks like Chris is sitting on still a meaningful hand size there too. He just, Cloud's a pretty forgiving card to build around. It's not like you have to overly invest in what that card does. Just 2 CP, get him down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're seeing lock here, no doubt.
Well, I definitely think you want to get locked down because you've got the 2 category 6 characters. Get the card out of his hand.
We do have Interceptor in the list too, and I think that card that's an example of a card that looks really good and you get excited about, and then you see what it can do with lock, and you're like, goodness, that if John had seen an early turn Interceptor, he's in the catbird seat here, but don't think he's got a. Would Belias give lock haste? I forget.
Not until damage 4.
So he doesn't really have a way of getting a double discard off of lock this turn, but that's not what he's doing anyway. He's going to go to combat first. He's going to attack, and
that'll cleave for 2.
It's not bad. And we're going to take a point of damage.
Yep.
Looks like that is Ice Kadaj. Is that what I think that is?
Yeah, it looks like Kadaj or whichever one is that. No. Is Kadaj a 4 CP 7K? Or is it Laws?
That's a good question. I'm going to pull that list back up while we're chatting here.
And then we went into Edgar as the follow-up play on main 2, and now we're going back to Mattiske.
Taking a conservative approach there. I think, honestly, you got the cloud in front, the Aerith. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I think that's a long-term play. Could pay off. No, that is not what that card is in damage. That is Laws, 3 CP, 7K.
Okay. Gotcha. Now we're going back to Mattiske here. John playing a very respectful game with Fire Ice, and that's that's one of the things Fire Ice, it can do that. It can settle back into a more gentleman's game. But I think, honestly, in most matchups, you really live or die by getting lock online early and getting the hand stripped because you're applying pressure with powerful forwards, and you're taking away their resources. That is Fire Ice in a nutshell. And right now, Mattiske's online he could do some real wacky shenanigans here. He can pop the Aerith with the cloud, put in a 5-drop, which could be whatever he has in his list. Could be Tifa. Could be.
It could be Sephiroth, and just say,
Barret. Yeah,
he could dump his whole hand right now playing other stuff, and he could go get that Sephiroth and make John discard 2. He does have 1 copy of that Ice Sephiroth from Opus 1. That would be, that's been playing the Fire Ice game back in your face and saying, I can make you discard stuff too.
Well, then it goes back to, it depends on what's in Mattiske's hand. Like if you pop the Aerith and you play another one right behind it, you've lost nothing. You've lost absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he could, Aerith can find Tifa, could find starter Barret, it could find that Sephiroth, it could find Sid also, who doesn't make a lot of sense here, but I think finding Barret is actually pretty gas. And we'll see. I mean, he's got a lot to think about. If he had 1 line, we would have seen it by now.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of avenues to take in this deck, and of course, Chris Mattiske, no stranger. He knows what Fire Ice is capable of.
Yeah, he's got. That's the scary thing, I think, of looking across that table. Nothing that's happened on John's board by itself has been that threatening yet,
Mhm.
except he's got three. All the numbers are counting up. The party has been assembled, and he's got 4 cards in hand. So you got to, you don't want to let Fire Ice have that many resources, knowing how crazy they can get.
Mhm. We'll see what Mattiske's turn is going to be again. Very methodical, taking his time, going through an infinitesimal number of lines. Which
I wouldn't be surprised if we see something entirely different from what we thought. So we've got a Devout backup.
Yep.
And then we're playing, now we're playing Kadaj. Searching for a job, Remnant, but
I think is he stacking it?
Yeah, I think so. Yep, he's gonna stack it and get Sephiroth and then get it, and that because he's got no cards in hand now.
Yep.
So then the Sephiroth trigger resolves. He'll go draw a card.
Yep, and John's gonna pitch 2.
And suddenly, John's forwards aren't looking as great anymore because that Sephiroth kind of deceptively in there with first strike, annoyingly. So if your opponent plays it,
and now I'm also quickly going to realize I thought it was the case the first time, but now seeing that nail in John's backup in his break zone, the list we have, the list John gave us is definitely not the one he's playing.
We saw a nail?
I saw a nail and I saw a 2 CP Emperor, which I believe are both not in that list. But I mean, the cards that we highlighted are still absolutely the same. Really, the Cyans, the Samurais are really the big standouts.
Well, I was thinking that this is not a terrible time to see Braska's final Aeon. I mean, you're already down on card count. You could play Renoa and potentially make that Sephiroth happen again. I'm a skittish guy when it comes to Sephiroth, though. I always feel like I just lose to him if I see him more than once, and we've already seen him this early. So if I had a BFA in my hand, I'd go for it right here. Is Cyan frozen? Is that?
Yeah, he was frozen because of Kadaj.
That's just brutal, man. Kadaj is a pretty good card. It's interesting that they gave us such a beater in the starter version of Kadaj, and then they go ahead and introduce a quiet rare that is really good too when you play around with it.
Well, he definitely plays well, just with the package that he was introduced with Laz and Yazoo. I mean, that Remnants package was something that, what I remember when I first saw the Kadaj, I was like, that card's kind of lame. But then, like, when you start looking at the rest of the picture, you're like, oh, no, that's really solid.
So he's getting that Laz out of the hand there, saying, if you're going to make me discard my hand, I'm making you discard yours too. But Cloud's still online. Got a lot we can do here. He's got Genesis Avatar on the list, which is, Shenanigans Town, USA. With
because that's what I'm saying. Like he could easily put this puppy out the pasture by if he has the Renoa and he can just go. If he has the Renoa, he can easily go dig out the Genesis Avatar and just put that baby to bed. But I think you save that play. Like there's not really much threatening right here. Like Locke's not really that threatening right now. You're tapped out. He's just a 7K. I mean, do you gladly swing the Sephiroth into that? Because that Sephiroth has first strike, by the way.
Right. Yeah, I think
you don't care.
With that.
Yeah, you don't care. And you have ways to get him out of the way.
I have a feeling, though. I mean, he's in a catbird seat here in some respects with that Cloud, and he's already got the big forwards out, so he can start really getting into the deck and doing some high value plays here. I have a feeling that Cloud's gonna I don't know if you want to break Kadaj. Kadaj seems like maybe you do. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
gonna play. So is that getting the Devout out of the way, get Aerith back, grab more or less anything we want out of our break zone. Looks like he's grabbing Laz. Yeah, Shulk's not a bad target. Maybe Shulk stays over though. See, one Genesis Avatar in there. There are 3 in the list, so it's okay to have that one in there.
Yeah, I don't hate getting the Earth CP.
No, yeah. Probably gonna. I mean, he could play Laz here though, right? And just.
Well, and again, this is where it comes down to. This is where I think John got off to just a little bit too slow of a start. Because one of Fire Ice's biggest problems is dealing with a wide board like this.
Definitely. Yeah, from the list we looked at, there's really not a lot here. I mean, he did have 3 starter Terra, and maybe you get into something where you're casting summons and you're attacking with Cyan, but that seems like it's a long ways away from the board we've seen.
Well, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work that the deck doesn't need to do.
No, it's really the only thing, though. I mean, I guess, we dropped down here a Uke. If we just rip Tifa off the top. So playing Laws. All right, so Laws is...
we're going to break Laws, and we're going to grab a 4-drop.
So probably getting Renoa.
Well, yeah, we're probably going to grab Renoa, maybe blink the Sephiroth at this point.
Well, yeah. Laws is discarding as well. So we get the freeze trigger off Kadaj for Laws entering. Laws... Oh, no. Put from the field. Yeah, put from the field in the break zone.
Yep.
Cross my eyes a little bit there. So John's got a discard, and then we're getting a 4 CP.
Yep, which
it's going to be
grab Renoa at this point.
I think it's actually the only target that's legal because all the other 4 CPs are already out in the field. So Renoa's going to hit, Sephiroth and get that hand out of there.
Yep.
Brutal and effective. There's John. I don't have any cards in my hands.
Yeah, that's a wrap. This is kind of the point where the game's over because the big thing is there was no answer for Cloud. Cloud just took over this game.
No, and looking at everything he just discarded, we saw every sequence he had. There wasn't. The line could have been instead of playing your backups to just try and play that lock, but I don't think it really changes anything. At least he has backups to play cards with here, but
but you're not playing a BFA. I mean, you're playing a Samurai. You're going to let Glock get in for maybe a point of damage, or you're just going to.
No, I think you just
or
pass.
You just step. Interesting.
Well, Samurai is only targeting fire forwards, I think. So Samurai's not doing anything for lock.
Yep. Yeah, we're in trouble. Yeah, we are in trouble. Because now, one card in hand, there's not really much that can happen here.
No, there's really not. And, Mattiske's list has, we're in like an Ultron situation, right? We've assembled every line we want or care about. We just don't have Genesis down yet. We could put Genesis down pretty, almost instantly.
And you can easily Cloud, get rid of the Renoa, bring Tifa in, and just send everybody to the fences.
No, Cloud's got to get rid of Cloud can't get rid of Renoa, but Cloud has to sack category 7 forward.
You're right. Well, then he can get rid of
Kadaj and get Barret
Tifa. Or
Aerith makes more sense too. Yeah.
Yep.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he
can
literally can do whatever he wants.
He could time mage here for the, just to go for the throat and, get that last card out of the hand and then bring in Sid Austin and break lock. There's just, he's got a bunch of different options here. Mattiske's shown up to the buffet and John's at the dollar menu with $1 and 5 cents. He's got one thing he can afford to do here, and it's probably not enough to whet his appetite.
Yep,
and Mattiske's feasting. Yep.
And you're just gonna come through with you're definitely gonna plow through with going with Aerith first. That's a Scholar, Opus 5 Scholar.
Yeah, we do have a different.
Here comes Sephiroth. You're not saying there's Cloud.
Yeah.
He can definitely. He can't even kill the little Cloud now because of Tifa. So yeah,
it's pretty insane. It really feels like Tifa is supposed to have like damage 3 and damage 5 on her abilities, and they just like hit her with an old denominator and took it all down a couple like that.
Oh, definitely.
+2 and Brave right off the bat is it's here we go. Yeah. I maybe all John really has. We don't know when that nail came into play, right? Maybe he could play the nail and shoot Cloud right away. Maybe that's the only line we've seen, but I don't know when he found nail. It might have been too late at that point.
No, that was his break zone. He was showing Mattiske his break zone there.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is quite the hole to climb out of, especially right now because Tifa is. I mean, granted, you're not at damage 3 yet, so there is still ways to deal with Tifa, but it's costly for you right now. You don't really have much of a hand. The double Sephiroth is crippling. I mean you learned that back in the Turbo days.
Yeah.
Sephiroth ripping your hand was just absolutely brutal.
Well, it might even be done yet, right? Like, you could just time mage and do it again if you really wanted to.
Oh, easily. Yeah, if things get out of hand, he has that option.
Pretty impressive. Hard to argue.
Well, and also, but here's the big thing, right? Right now, Sephiroth is a 9K with first strike. There's not much that's climbing over that mountain.
Oh, goodness.
He's a big, beefy fella. Like, you have to swing with Cyan, and then you have to, even if Cyan's like, you have to swing with Cyan and then Belias. Like, but then at that point, if you swing with Cyan, you're just kind of dead on the crackback because now Cloud can attack, then crush something with his, then just nuke something with his ability, bring something in. Like, there's just a lot of lines.
No, it's pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal to look at this list, and this might be a little different if he had like another forward and 5 cards in hand or something. I feel like you need everything you can take. Whereas Zalariing the Cloud would have been, I'm sure John would be the first to say he would have loved to have that card a lot sooner.
No, we might be responding to that. We might have an answer. Well, I mean, you have to pull the trigger on the Zalera now, right? Because once damage 3 hits, Zalera's not doing really anything.
You got to cash that in. Oh, there we go. We're saving Cloud with Aerith.
Yeah, and you're fine with that.
Absolutely fine with that. But goodness, if you got to cash in on that Aerith ability now, right? Because it's not going to matter either if you get to damage 3. It's barely going to have anything to do then. Yeah, we're just it's 75 degrees outside. It's 8 o'clock. Cloud's on that motorcycle, Bay Bridge, wind in his hair.
He's definitely poolside.
Great ride. He is poolside and loving it.
That's right. Oh, John's camera losing a little bit of focus there. There it is.
That's okay.
That's all right. I know an episode of Law and Order when I see it. All right, so now what's Mattiske going to do this turn? Now again, now on the flip side, seeing Celis here is actually really okay.
Yep, Celis helps.
What would be the best follow-up John could possibly have if Celis lives, if he can, which I don't know if he does.
Yeah,
because you're going to get rid of the Sephiroth. Are you going to?
He's going to Genesis Avatar and then probably.
Oh yeah.
Like it.
Yeah, this is definitely the turn you Genesis Avatar. Yep, and John just scoops him up, grabs the dustpan, going right into the bin.
He sees it, and he's going to say, you know what? Do it. I'm going to make you do it. Yeah, saying I'm going to time mage right now and plop them all down there and start getting in the guts.
Yep, and then you're going to get in with Tifa and Renault, and you're going to feel really great about it.
And I guess what happens next turn? We probably just sack that Genesis Avatar and get another big old Sephiroth coming down, discarding 2 cards.
Or no, not even that. You just grab, because there's only one big Sephiroth. I think you break that. Well, you break that, you grab Umaru, and whatever John puts in its face, you just send it to the bottom of the deck, and then you just swing for game.
Pretty insane. Not quite. We're not there yet. He's got to play something else. He can only, if he activates Cloud, he can only get in for 3.
And also points. Too, Tifa does not get Brave from her ability, so he did not swing with the Tifa. He didn't want to play into a possible Zalera.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did he put 3 points up then? He had to have attacked with Tifa.
Well, no,
he attacked with Cloud. He attacked with Renoa, and then he must have attacked with Cloud, and then.
Yeah, well, no, he did not attack with Cloud last turn. He got the Genesis Avatar with Cloud last turn.
Yeah, he can't do the ability. So where did the 3 damage come from? Was he already at 1?
Who, Mattiske or John?
John.
Yeah, John was already at 1.
Okay.
Yeah, he was at 2 damage going into that turn, so he just only took 1. Yeah,
that's what I missed.
All right, so we've got Jesse coming down, searching really for whatever we want.
Yeah, pretty insane.
Do we just grab it? Do we grab the 3rd Aerith at this point? No, we're grabbing another Kadaj.
Yeah,
that's fine too, because we're going to lose the lock that's in the hand, or
the signed lock. He's just flexing his signature now. Mm-hmm. Yes, we're playing.
Are we doing it? Are we doing it? Are we playing Yazoo? I think so. We sure are.
Wow. Yeah, because what's he got to lose at this point? I mean, where he hasn't seen anything that can really disrupt his board state here.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, the game's over.
Yeah.
Because you're going to swing with Renoa next. Then you're going to swing with Genesis Avatar. And then you're going to swing with Tifa to finish the game off.
I mean, you're not really afraid of anything in EX from what John's presented here. We know there's nothing. EX isn't going to save him. And then there we go.
Yep, and that's a wrap.
And they get the gentleman's handshake from across the world.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think we called it kind of as it happened there. Early Cloud. Both players had some good early turns, but Mattiske is basically it's like they both ran out of the house, and Mattiske had his keys in his hand and hopped right in the seat. And John said, left my keys in the house, and had to turn around for just in that 5 seconds. He just was too far behind.
He left the oven on. That's what happened.
The oven on, and Cloud was halfway down the road on his bike, getting ready to get poolside. And,
that's right. He's got his sunscreen, he's got his swim trunks on. But now here's the big thing, right? Like, it goes back to how I feel about Fire Ice in Opus 11. You need to see your 6 backups quick. Now, obviously, John mulliganed, so he didn't have a good hand. And I honestly don't think the hand he mulliganed into was that much better. Yes, you're playing some BFAs and you have some higher cost forwards, but the only not really getting your pieces online while Mattiske is just straight building a board. Like when he drops Aerith turn 1 for free and a backup, you're behind. Then he's going to play a Cloud that you don't have an answer to. That's where his list is sorely missing Genesis. His list is sorely missing, maybe the Ifrit, the Opus 10 Ifrit. Just having some pieces of removal that can just deal with something like that. Maybe you feel bad wasting a piece of removal on that card, but if you can Genesis it, if you can do some things to delay that game plan, you're staying in this game. And again, not getting lock online early is tough. Fire Ice has a lot of trouble with boards going wide if you did not get lock online early to starve those resources.
You know what's crazy now? I'm thinking he played that Aerith on turn 1. So even if there are some different tech choices around removal in this Fire Ice list, he could have still popped Aerith and saved Cloud from an Ifrit or something, and more or less been in a comparable position. He wouldn't have been able to sack the Aerith on the turn that he did, soon after. But he got that Cloud out, and he couldn't have had a more efficient couple of turns. I guess he could have seen Shulk. That's one way he could have played a little bit more aggressively and efficiently. But really, the dream opener for Mattiske looking at this list, and we got to see all the cards that John discarded. I don't think he had any lines that he could have done differently and changed that situation.
Once Sephiroth took the hand out of the equation.
Oh, for sure.
That's it. That's it.
He took his bus pass. He wasn't going anywhere at that point.
No, not at all. Not at all. But overall, I think this match was really solid. I think we saw a really unique deck by Mattiske, and we saw some tech choices in Fire Ice that really didn't play out. Maybe in some other matchups, the Samurai package works. But really, we just saw how just Cyan was pretty much neutralized the entire game. And I think if you're playing in like a Fire Ice Mirror, that you can expect that to happen to Cyan. If you're playing a standard Fire Ice list versus a Cyan, Fire Ice list, the deck that has the ways to neutralize that card they're just going to win.
Yeah, and I still like we got to see Cyan do all his stuff, right? But
we got to see him do nothing. We got to see him go get a backup that did nothing for him.
Here's the thing, though. That's what he wants to do. Like, and I'm with you. Like, we're agreeing here. That's not really what the list wants from that slot. I mean, he did. Cyan got the value you should expect out of that card, but Shadow's doing the job better than Cyan. He's finding you a backup. I'm not, Rain Man with these numbers or anything, but you're looking at the top 5 cards of your deck and you got 17 backups, you're going to probably find one off Shadow, and then he's going to play one efficiently for you, possibly too. So you kind of doing some double duty there, I think, including them in there. Cyan, I think, is a great card. He's just not, he's not half of his. We saw him do his best ability, and it didn't really matter, right? The ping, that setup is so narrow. It would have been really cool if that was a difference maker, but it would have taken a lot of fortunate draws and sequencing. We would have had to see Terra there, and we probably would have had to see multiple summons cast in a turn to get Terra pings. And the most that Cyan's doing with that ping is, 3 or 4. Yeah, it's just not enough. I don't hate it, but I think Fire Ice has so many different things it could be doing with different cards that's some real estate we're taking. We got 6 cards between the 3 Samurai backups and the 3 Cyan that, we identified. Vayne could have been a really great card to have seen, and really slowed down a little bit of the tech that Mattiske brought. And we could have seen, how many others?
The big thing, again, the big one that immediately came to mind is I still would much rather have 3 copies of Genesis in my list.
Yeah, Genesis is not here. New Saban might not have really given us what we needed that game, but it's not a bad inclusion. It's doing more than Cyan here. I'm not a. How do you feel about 3 starter Terra?
I think it's 1 Terra too many. I think 2 or 3 is fine. I'm a huge fan of 2. I think 2 gets you exactly what you need, and I'm also a fan of 3 backup Setzer. So my 2 could potentially be 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, these aren't like insane choices to make. This is exactly the kind of tournament you want to flex into these different avenues and see what they're doing here. And quite honestly, I think that all we really saw in this match is that Mattiske's list, the concept was proven handedly. It was a great match. Thanks for joining me. I'm glad we had a chance to do this.
No, absolutely. And as I'm seeing John pull his kind of table his list here, there were some differences from the list that we were provided. There is a Genesis in here. There's multiple Snows. I see an Emperor backup. That's a card I'm kind of back and forth on much of the time. Again, I'm a fan of 3 Banana Sid, 3 backup Setzer.
2 Nail. I'm seeing 2 Nail on.
Yeah, I think 2 Nail is absolutely right. I think 3 Zidane is correct. I think 3 Cloud might be a bit of overkill. I like the one in Umaru. I'm honestly fine with like 1 or 2 Laswells these days. I think while the S is good, I don't know if you necessarily need the full play set anymore. I think the list kind of and Greg Cole kind of showed that when he won the tournament that we did, the community, well, not the community cup, but the win-a-box we did after the community redo,
right?
Where he was able to use a lot of 1s and 2s and Laswell being one that, I genuinely just don't think you need the full play set of him anymore.
I think if you're pulling off Azure Sky, you're pretty far ahead. I agree with you there. It's I think that's a bold deck building choice because we always joke about Laswell's the 3rd Ice Legendary in Opus 8. I mean, he's so good. But I agree with what you're saying. I think looking at it, especially on the table there, 2 Genesis and 1 Laswell seems like a pretty good squad. So, yeah, great. 2 great players, both played out played to the outs that they were provided. And Mattiske
Yeah, no,
just
absolutely.
got there fast. That's a tough one to deal with. Just a bad matchup, but a really, really fun list and
And
enjoyable
just
to watch.
going back to showing that 2020 is the year of Final Fantasy VII. So many different flavors of the deck. You know, just really, really solid stuff on both sides of the table. Two excellent players. What Mattiske's deck just got there better, just got there first.
You got to tip your hat to it. Hey, sometimes, that's all you can do. I know there's some interesting rules and some different formats that this tournament has taken a look at, but I wouldn't hate to see this list in action again. Either way, I'd be interested to see where both these guys go through the ladder, so to speak. Chris, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Absolutely, it was an absolute pleasure. Always enjoy getting in the commentary booth and watching some quality games of Final Fantasy TCG.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Can't wait till we're doing this again sometime soon. You, sir, have a wonderful rest of the day. And if you're tuning in, thanks for watching. We'll catch you later.
Absolutely. Good night.